Hello there, YouTube. Decided that I'm going to make an updated video for my home lab. The old one's 2 years old, and I have done a lot in those 2 years. So, without further ado, wackadoo, let me show you what I got. All right, we got the same HP server rack that I had before, but things are definitely a little different now. Don't know how much you'll notice from the last one. Still got the same KVM. This is the old PV, not PV, it's already thinking Proxmox. PF Sense, but that is not my home router anymore. Still has PF Sense loaded on it because I haven't done anything else with it. Not plugged in anymore. The one below it, likewise, used to have, well, still has TrueNAS installed on it, but it's been unplugged for a while now. This server is the DL360 Gen 8. It had, oh, I know what that junk is called. The one Broadcom bought and completely hosed home labbers for. Oh yeah, VMware. Used to have VMware 7, and then I bought this and I put VMware 8 on it. And right about then is when Broadcom made the purchase and almost immediately said, hey, all you low-end people, you don't have enough money for us, so screw you. So I wiped both of the servers, and both of them are running the current version of Proxmox. It's version 9 point whatever. Actually just did an upgrade. I think it's 9.2, but don't quote me on that. So yeah, both of these are running Proxmox 9, and they are clustered, so I can manage both of them from one single interface. I can log into either one of them and see everything. This one here had what was it, 64 gig of RAM, and I got upgraded to 128 gig of RAM. And the one on the bottom came with 128, but thanks to recycled RAM from work, and yes, all of my recycles are completely legal. They know I have it. Matter of fact, one of the management even said, hey, did you know that we have some stuff we're basically going to toss? Can you use this? Why, yes. Yes, I can. So it now has 256 gig of registered ECC DDR4. Loving how that goes together. Part of the recycle was also these, let's see if I can get it to focus. And there we go. An E5 2698 V4 Xeon processor. This has, I believe, 14 cores. Of course, they are multi-threaded. So there are 2 of those in each one of those bottom servers, the Gen 8 and the Gen 9. Gen 9 is a more recent acquisition than it was not in the last video. But now I have lots of cores, lots of memories. Yeah, memories. Lots of RAM. All of these hard drives are all 300s. I'm sorry. These are 300s. These are 1.2 terabytes each. I got 6 1.2 terabytes. mirrored 300s for the OS, and then the rest are 1.2 terabytes. That is, let's see, I paid $199 for the server. Yeah, refurbs for the win. At work, they use Dell servers, and there's nothing particularly wrong with them, but that's if I had my druthers, and I do, I'd rather have an HP. So I do. Patch panel is the same. And as you can see, I still use the same bread tie tagging method. I did upgrade my switch. Gone is the 24 port gigabit with 2 SFP ports. It now is 24 port gigabit with many more capabilities. The old one was barely a layer 2. This is a layer 2 plus, which means that it can do inter-VLAN routing. And it has 4 SFP plus ports, 10 gig. As you can see, 3 of those are populated. This runs 10 gig fiber. This runs 10 gig fiber. I have this, the standard Ethernet is still plugged in on here for the management, but HP, in their brilliance, decided that the card let's see, get this out of here. The card that the 4 gigabit Ethernet ports came in, that is specifically designed to go into the server. This one has it built into the motherboard. This one does not. So I had to get this, and since it was the only Ethernet on the server, it was a lot of fun because I had to actually put a USB to gigabit adapter, add that to the Linux bridge, swap out the card, and then add the SFP plus ports to the bridge, get them configured, up and running, and then remove the USB adapter from the bridge. And of course, between each step, you have to shut the server down, make your physical changes, start the server back up, do the next configuration step, and on and on. So that took a little while. But the end result is that both of the Proxmox servers in the cluster are running on 10 gig. And as you can see, there are 3 10 gig ports populated. We will get to the third one in a moment. We also have our Jellyfin media server. That is on a good old recycled Dell micro form factor 5050. It was, well, a recycle, so another freebie. We still have the good old Triplite PDU. And then we have added a 500 milliamp hour battery backup by CyberPower. Really like this one. I just don't have anything bad to say about it. This one here is the battery backup for this and these two here, and I'll get to their purpose momentarily. But when I first put this in here, I had delusions of grandeur for it and thought that that was going to back up the 2 active servers. It will not. It won't even close. I started this one, got it running. It was sitting at idle and this thing was running at 65% draw capacity. As soon as I fired this up, within a few seconds, this started alarming and saying, no, 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 no. So I immediately shut this down before it could boot. Went in and did a proper shutdown on this and moved them over to this one. This is an APC Backups Pro 1300, and this handles the load quite nicely. As you can see, the load is not even 50%. And on this one, let's see, yeah, load is pretty well at minimums. Focus probably didn't help that very well. But yeah, you can see the load right there, and the gauge goes all the way up. So it has already been tested in the wild, because we had about I'd say maybe a 2-minute power outage, and multiple times where it has flickered, and none of the equipment in this rack even knew about it. Now we have this, and then I don't know if you can tell, but I also bought a labeler, and man, that my media server does run Casa. If you have not looked at Casa OS, do so immediately. It is the software package that comes on a Zima board, but you can download it and install it on anything you want. It is a Linux OS with extras. This is now my pfSense firewall. We have the good old recycled Dell Optiplex 5000. This one is a 5080, but also recycled. And this is my Proxmox backup server. It has a 10 terabyte spinning hard drive for data. And then both of them have a 256 gig NVMe drive for the operating system. That's all this one has, is just the 256 gig NVMe. And of course this one has more. So all of that is my new and updated rack. Now the fun part, the Proxmox servers kind of came about because in my part 2 of my network tour that I did before, I showed you my standalone Windows server and file server. Those have both been decommissioned. Matter of fact, the Windows server is back here. That's the old pfSense, as you can see. That is an old rack mount. That is a Cisco, used to be an ESXi server. That's the one I got the RAM and the CPUs from, and then it wasn't the only one. That's how I got all of the different ones that I've got in here. Currently, I think it's, God, I'll have to actually do some math and figure out, it's something like 75 cores and about half a terabyte of RAM between the two servers. So of course, I had numerous VMs running on it. The Windows server was decommissioned. It is now virtualized on here. With it is also the file server. File server has 2.5 terabytes of space. On the old standalone, it was 2 terabytes. So virtualized and upgraded the operating system and got more space and more RAM. Fewer cores, but actually that works out just perfectly fine, because a file server for one person, you really don't need an 8-core processor. So that worked out pretty good. So that's at the moment, that's all that this one runs, is just the file server and the Windows server. The only reason that the Windows server exists is I wanted the practice at getting the QEMU agent going, the Windows Server 2022, do a virtual machine on it in Proxmox so that I know how to do it. That is literally the only reason that it exists. It's probably going to get deleted because I don't do anything with it and don't have any plans. Matter of fact, I do have plans to not do anything with it because, pardon, anybody who has sensitive ears, you might want to plug your ears because fuck Microsoft. On this one, I have multiple VMs. They are all running Ubuntu Server 2404, the LTS version. And let's see, we have IT Flow. If you haven't looked at IT Flow, open up a new tab in your browser right now, type up IT Flow, go to their website, and then come back to the video, leaving that tab open so that you can fully research IT Flow, because if you do computer work, you want IT Flow. It's developed by like two guys that run a managed service provider, and it's software to run a managed service provider. Look at their forums. It's great stuff. It handles everything but the RMM, which leads to the next VM, which is my RMM, Tactical RMM. Does a fantastic job. It is free if you are only doing Windows clients. It supports Mac. It supports Linux. However, you have to pay the subscription if you want signed agents, and the only way you can do Linux or Mac is signed agents unless you want to build your own agent. Kind of a pain in the butt, really, but you can do it. The Linux agent is a little glitchy at the moment because it doesn't have the best Wayland support, but they are working on that. Let's see, I think there's either 5 or 6. I've got an AMP game server. It is the paid license version, but the license for an AMP game server is $10. If you can't do $10 to support the developers, then, come on, it's $10. What else do I have on there? I knew I should have written it down. I'm old. I don't remember things. Yeah, anyway, I've got about five VMs in a container on there. And containers are okay, but I kind of prefer full VMs. But anyway, pretty much the whole network now is all contained within this rack. Except, off-site now, I have connected to the PF Sense box via a WireGuard tunnel. I have a Dell Precision workstation, and because of recycles and upgrades, matter of fact, that is the other processor that came out of one of those. That's the second one. The first one is in that Dell Precision. So it has 14 core Xeon in it, or 16 core. I think it's 16 core. And of course it's hyper-thread, so it has lots of cores. It has 256 gig of registered ECC DDR4 in it. And it's over at my son's house. It was going to be the third member in the cluster, and I had it down where that little PC is and it was set up. It was in the cluster. I was able to migrate machines back and forth. It worked great. Took it over to my son's house, and yeah, adapting to a different network for a clustered server in Proxmox, no. So brought it back, migrated the one VM that was running on it back onto here so that I didn't lose my AMP license, and completely reinstalled Proxmox from scratch on his network, put it on, joined the cluster across the VPN link. Yeah, turns out that didn't work real well, because if you can have offsite machines in a cluster joined to this cluster, but you need at least two on each side. And since there's one on the other side, and there's only going to be one on the other side, So since I had joined the cluster and then it refused to talk, I had to reinstall it again. But reinstalled, has dual 8 terabyte hard drives for data. So we're not talking massive performance, but we have good amounts of storage. And that is now an independent Proxmox node. It's dual homed, because I have my little network over at his house that is connected to this through the WireGuard, and then the other one goes to his home network. That keeps everything separate, allows me to manage it, allows him to access services. Works out pretty good. The Proxmox backup server has a twin over at his house that replicates this one. This has a 4 terabyte hard drive, which backs up all of this quite handily, with lots of room to spare. The other one that's at his house has a 10 terabyte hard drive for the data storage, and it's replicating this, which is like, it's using maybe 2 terabytes. So since I had lots of extra room, I set his Proxmox server to back up to that one, and that's working out quite nicely. I have the equivalent of this APC over at his place. It's a CyberPower 1500. It's the freestanding one, same as this is, and because there's no rack over there. But it all works out pretty good. It replicates all of this through the WAN link. I have already tested being able to restore things. I can actually take a backup on here that's replicated offsite, and then from the offsite backup server, I can actually restore that VM onto the Proxmox server that's over there. I get to have fun with, storage pools and network settings, but it works. If need be, I can restore everything over there. So we do have full offsite redundancy. Probably seen this. This is an old recycle. Has definitely seen much better days. However, slapped a second network card in it, and I have installed but not yet configured Sophos, the home version, because I want to, play with Sophos. It has 8 gig of RAM, which is perfect because Sophos Home Edition will only address 6 gig of RAM, and for a homelab, that is much, much more than you will ever need. You could easily do this on just 2 gig of RAM. It has dual 500 gig spinning hard drives. I could have put an SSD in it just for the testing and made it faster, but I don't care. I had an old PCI, it's a Realtek 8169 chipset, gigabit NIC, and this had a PCI slot, so I thought, hey, rather than letting this sit around until the world ends, I'll make use of it. Well, it's being made use of. So I'll be testing this. I plan on creating the cloud account, attaching it to the cloud so that it can be cloud managed. This will not replace my PF Sense. I love my PF Sense. I will not be getting rid of my PF Sense. But makes for some really good playing. And that's all of the cables that connect into the back of that. I kind of use this, and the tabletop is kind of my my bench. And of course we have an old picture of my youngest son. He is actually 23 now. Matter of fact, there's my new Aruba wireless, and there's my new PoE switch, and that's messing with the focus. But man, I really like that switch. I may even do a little bit of a video on it because I really like that switch. Currently, my Amcrest network video recorder, complete with Amcrest cameras. That's one of them. That one's going to go outside. It just isn't yet. Here's some more of the stuff that got pulled out of the various used servers. So I have hot swap power supplies for the Gen 8 and Gen 9 servers, heat sinks for the CPUs. This is an IC dock enclosure. Currently has two 250 gig PNY SSDs. These, I absolutely love these. I have been using these for quite some time, and I have yet to have one fail, even though I am not all that nice with them. So, good things for PNY. Here we have lots of miscellaneous RAM. We have some... I always keep these things because as often as I do configuration changes on things, I love being able to have everything look how it's supposed to. But this is a bunch of the DDR. This is some of that Cisco DDR that came out of the other CPU that I showed you a few minutes ago. And this is the other half. Right here is the other half of the RAM, because that Cisco ESXi host had 512 gig of RAM and dual processor, dual socket. So the Dell Precision Workstation was only able to take half of the resources that was in it. So I still have this, and I still have one of the CPUs, but the rest of that is in that Dell Precision. Matter of fact, there's another one of the Dell Precisions. Those are my 10 gig DAC cables that I'm not using. And there's the old network switch that you would have seen in the video. Underneath that is a rack mount for two Mac Minis. It has one Mac Mini in it, and there's another one that's going to go in it. They're older Intel Mac Minis, so they are going to both have Ubuntu Server installed on them. And then this little mini rack is going to go over to my son's house because he needs more switch ports. We currently only has the 4 in his ISP's modem, and they, well, running out of space because I'm using one for my uplink to my little network, and then the Precision Workstation that he has over there as his Proxmox server has, like I said, it's dual homed, so there's another cable that's going in, and that occupies 2 out of his 4. He has computers set up right by it, So currently his 4 ports are all used, and we're going to be installing network outlets throughout his house coming up here soon, probably over the winter, because what else are you going to do in the winter other than inside work? So that'll be his new switch. And then I got this wall one here, and that was actually a freebie. I'm on the Amazon Vine, and that's a Vine product. I actually thinking about it, I need to review that. But yeah, we have old workstations, lots of old workstations. Ignore the decon, winter mice. And then we have 2 more workstations. These are good. Both are currently running Linux, Ubuntu Linux, I believe, on both of them. Both of them have i5 processors with 32 gig of RAM. One's, of course, slightly newer than the other, but those are there for whatever. I can play around with them. I can do whatever I want. I thought about doing Sophos on them, but why would you use a machine with 32 gig of RAM and a 12-core processor when you have, something that Sophos can actually properly make use of? And since it won't be permanent, hey, so that's that. And then I can't really think of too awful much else that I haven't already gone over. The workstations from upstairs are gone, or the servers rather are gone. I did happen to basically get gifted one of these, and since I don't really think that's going to benefit from it, it's currently not being used, but will be kept. And let's see. Now we have storage for all of the things. Yes, that is a fully operational Mac Color Classic. It has a 20 megabyte hard drive that is mostly full of Star Trek game, and kind of a fun game too. But in one of my part 2 video, I talked about that printer. That is the Samsung labeled Brother home laser printer. Had it for an eon and a half, and it works fantastic. I love it. But this is the one that currently gets used. I still have all of my miscellaneous parts for the 4th 10 gig slot. This has 2 SFP Plus SFPs in it, the cable, and then a PCI Express single SFP Plus card with the half height adapter so that I can use it in those things. Don't know what I'm going to do with it, but it was inexpensive and I knew I could make use of it, so I'm going for it. Oh yeah. Also had being recycled from work. Those are all 600 gig, 15,000 RPM SAS drives. And let's see, cover up the serial number. And yeah, they do all kinds of good things with it. And I figure, well, why not? Because at some point in time, I'm going to do things. This is very possibly going to become Node 3 on Proxmox. I think I mentioned on the original network tour that it doesn't particularly like booting from UEFI, which means the first time I tried to install Proxmox on it, it wanted to argue with me. I've done a little research to find out how to do it with legacy BIOS, and It can be done. It hasn't gotten to the top of the priority list yet. Um, oh, and before I quit, not only do I still have the Gen 7 spare fans, um, I also have some Gen 8 and 9 spare fans and banana boxes for storage. So those are all fully operational, and they came out of this beast. Um, and you know what? I have to give Amazon a bit of a shout out on that, because when I bought the Gen 9, that was actually the original Gen 9. It's a refurb, obviously, because it was $199 for an enterprise server. And I got it home, and there was an issue, and I kept getting errors, and ESXi kept becoming non-responsive, and I mean, just constant problems. Tried to get a hold of the seller, never got a response. Called Amazon customer support. They said, "Oh, well, we'll go ahead and send them a message. If they don't respond within 24 hours, then we will issue you a full refund and you can keep the device." Well, the seller never responded. Even after the fact, they never responded. So I got my money back, used that money to buy another one from another seller, um, and basically took all of the things that were still useful off of that, because it turned out to be a motherboard problem. Took all the things that were useful off of that, and they're either sitting up here or sitting over there, or wherever they may be. And now I have a very reliable one and spare parts. That still has the motherboard in it, because that was what the problem was. So don't look at my dirty steps. Um, but anyway, yeah, that's the updated tour of my home network. So y'all have fun. Make sure that you start a homelab. You don't have to do this. You can easily just do this, because there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. If your home lab is that consists of your entire home lab, guess what? You're awesome. Home lab is not only for practical use, it's to have fun. So have fun. Until next time, see ya.